Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's your boy Legend, and I'm back with another video. You already know what this is just by looking at the thumbnail. What if Naruto grew up? Merciless Remake Part 28. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I am on a roll with the uploads. I'm uploading consistency again. Everybody knock on wood. That way I don't break the system. Knock on wood. I'll wait. Alright, now that y'all knocked on y'all wood, um, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe while you at it. Turn on post notifications. Hit that bell icon. But without further ado, let's just get into this intro so we can start this what if. Alright guys, we start this episode off with a troubled May. 3 of her shinobi were missing. She wasn't going to search for them. She had no time. If they weren't here by morning, then she would leave them. She walked back into the inn, oblivious that her shinobi were just ripped in half by a certain Uchiha she took a fancy to. Meanwhile, with Itachi, he stood at the entrance of Suna, a force of 3,000 behind him. It was time for them to go. Itachi went through hand signs before slamming a hand down onto the ground. Summoning. There were many poofs. He just summoned the entire clan of crows. Shisui, you already know what to do. Baki, you stay here and act as the acting Kage. Konan, you will also come with me. Your skill may be needed. Konan only nodded as everyone took a crow and flew off with Naruto. He was being picky with the shinobi and arguing with Tsunade. Tsunade was over here being stingy, trying to take all the competent shinobi. She wanted Anko, Hanabi, Kakashi, Guy, Yugao, and Sai. Naruto wanted Kakashi, Araya, Guy, and Hanabi. He needed them for his small task force. Kuma was trying to bring back their Biju experiments in full force, creating artificial Jinchuriki for their special Anbu units. Naruto wasn't about to relent as he slammed his hands onto the desk. Look, Tsunade, I need these shinobi for Kumo. They plan to create artificial Jinchuriki. If we have to fight against that, then I need competent shinobi that has a chance of keeping up with real Jinchuriki. I'll even compromise. You can have Hanabi and Guy. Just give me Kakashi and Araya. I'll take Gaara too. Tsunade looked at him before sighing and nodding her head. The two continued to make plans before Naruto left and made his way to Araya's house. He needed to discuss some matters with her. He knocked on the door and she answered after a moment. He didn't even get a chance to speak as she just dragged him in and closed the door. Naruto quickly turned around with a red face. Can the two of you please put some clothes on? It's a little uncomfortable to talk like this. Araya smirked at Yugito. Even though the two quickly got friendly, she still was a fangirl for Naruto. So she was going to try and give her what she wanted. Araya forced Naruto to turn as she started to try and seduce him. as she wrapped herself around his arm. Would you care to join us? I don't mind, and I'm sure Yugito doesn't mind either. Araya grabbed Naruto by the chin and forced him to look over at Yugito, who laid sprawled out on the sofa, naked, with sweat all over her, giving her skin a shine as she panted, with her legs spread open, giving a clear view to her sacred place. She noticed him, but Araya had left her exhausted after the third round. Come on, Naruto. I know you want to. Let the two of us show you a good time. Naruto forcefully looked away, face even redder. I didn't come here to have any sexual contact with either of you. I came to speak business. Plus, I already have a fiance. Araya rolled her eyes as she was almost ready to just place Naruto under genjutsu, but she wasn't one to grape someone. Naruto, you have 5 fiancés, and one of them, Anko, her name is, she's obviously likes to fool around with the opposite sex. And I can tell the other one, Hanabi, enjoys sex. I saw her one day with a certain glow around her, making her look more radiant. What if we invited one of them to join us as well? Naruto couldn't lie. That idea sounded very appealing, but he wasn't here for that. Just then, Yugito came over and wrapped herself onto his other arm. You know, ever since I first met you at that summit, I've always had a very deep crush on you. Even now, my feelings have only gotten stronger. Yugito gave Naruto those bedroom eyes, making Naruto just a tiny bit aroused. It was already hard trying to stay calm with the two of them naked. Yugito then started to suck on his neck as he was surprised how bold this woman is, thought Naruto. Araya made Naruto face her as she had her Sepnergon active, as she looked into his eyes, causing his eyes to reflect the pattern that was in hers before they went back to their usual blue color. Come on, Naruto, just think about it. It would be so much fun, and besides, I recently have been wanting a child of my own. Same with her. Araya then stood on her toes as she kissed the corner of his mouth and gave him the same bedroom eyes that Yugito was giving him. Naruto quickly removed himself from the situation and left in a hurry as Araya smirked once he was gone. The choice is his. I used the genjutsu to place the idea of him being with us deep into his conscious. If he has some sort of feelings for us, he will act on them for sure. But I believe the two of us need to begin round 4. Meanwhile, Naruto left the house in a fluster. There was no way that those two were just ready to throw themselves at him. And children? What were they thinking? Meanwhile, in Kumo, A placed his hand on a single coffin out of 3 that stood in front of him. Father, I'm sorry to use you in this way, but this is important. Our village is at risk, and I need you to help me protect it. A then moved over. I can't believe I'll get to see you two again. The last time I saw the two of you, I was still just a little boy. But I know the two of you are strong in what we need at the moment. After all, there are very few people that can take on the second Hokage and win. Time skip. The next day, Kinkaku and Ginkaku looked over the platoon. They were brought back to lead. Is this it? I'm highly disappointed. The standard of our task force has really dropped since we were active shinobi, Ginkaku. Ginkaku looked over the task force he and his brother created many years ago. I don't want to lead this force of incompetent children, but I will do what I must, even if I have to get dirty myself. Meanwhile, Orochimaru stood in an open field as he laughed. There was a single coffin in front of him. With you, I can easily turn the tides of this problem into my favor. He then went through hand signs and slammed them onto the ground. 3 more coffins rose up as Orochimaru laughed. Now, I have his brother, and the best water style user to date, not to mention. Orochimaru turned his head. Hashirama Senju. Meanwhile, in the stone, Han sighed. Hey, Roshi, did you hear? Roshi turned to the armored Jinchuriki and raised an eyebrow. I heard Lord Tsuchikage is in distress. He sent his granddaughter on a solo assassination mission to eliminate the vengeful Blur. She has yet to return and has been pronounced as missing in action due to not being able to find a body. The news was leaked and it's affecting the morale of some of our shinobi. On top of that, I heard that all of our outposts have been destroyed. Just be ready, because whenever someone is under stress, they act rash. He may send us out to do something stupid. He might send us out on a full-scale assault or something. Roshi nodded before looking up and seeing a lot of shinobi running for the Tsuchikage's office. I can't believe you spoke too soon, Han. With that, the two left as well. They knew Inoki was about to do something very stupid. But who were they to go against his orders? In an all-out fight, he would thoroughly thrash the both of them, one-on-one. In Inoki's office, the man himself looked like hell. His clothes were dirty. His facial hair wasn't tame at all. And there were dark circles around his eyes. And his eyes now had something of a nervous twitch to them. Us, we, this village, the stone, Iwa. Roshi shook his head. It was as he feared. Lord Tsuchikage has went crazy and lost his mind. He could tell by his first sentence. The leaf and its allies have wronged us long enough. They come and go as they please. They destroy our outposts and because of those damn tree huggers, my granddaughter is MIA. It's time we settle the score. Inoki's entire head then jerked in a nervous twitch as he continued to speak. Today, right now, we strike back. And we will make them feel regret. Roshi shook his head. They were going to fight, but nothing was said to fix the already broken morale of the shinobi. So he walked out of the office wishing he were just a normal civilian. Meanwhile, in Fire Country, Tsunade met up with Itachi and Mei. As the three went to the forward outpost, with a group of Yamanakas and Naras, Ino, Tamari, and Hanabi were also there due to Tsunade's stubbornness. The group thought they were unseen, but a snake slithered off into the tree line as it began to burrow into the ground, making its way to Anoki with Naruto. He had a radio communication device in his ear as he stood on the head of the second Hokage and observed the village below. He then heard footsteps behind him as he turned. "How'd you get up here, Ayame?" Ayame said that Anko had helped her, and soon said woman appeared. "Which front are you fighting on?" Ayame was curious, and Naruto was reluctant to answer. Not because he was worried Ayame would follow, but he was worried Anko would come and look for him. "It's the Kumo front. I'm taking a special task force to deal with a potential problem." She nodded. "Can you promise me you'll come back?" Naruto immediately shook his head. "This is war." Yes, he was confident in his skill, but you never know what could happen. "I won't promise you that, and you know why. I already almost died 2 times. I was lucky that Anko and Gaara were fast enough to save me." Ayame grimaced before she reluctantly stepped away and Anko stepped forward. "Tsunade wants me to take the lead at the stone front along with Neji and Jiraiya." Naruto wanted her to stay in the village, but he couldn't have that. He was just glad that she would be with capable shinobi. "Anko, be careful. They still have their Jinchuriki, so expect a tough fight." Anko smiled and tilted her head, exposing part of her curse mark. "Anko, if I come back, there's a present that I want to give you before..." Naruto wasn't able to finish as Anko slapped him, shocking Naruto. He turned to look at her, surprised, but she was pissed off, and her eyes were watery. "What the hell do you mean, if you come back? Why would you even put that in your sentence?" Tears began to fall from her eyes as she sobbed. "I know this is a war, but do you really want me to think of you dying while I'm out there? What if the roles were reversed? I know you can't promise that you'll return, but you don't have to say, 'if I come back.'" Naruto understood what she meant, and he hugged her as he pulled her in by her waist. "I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. I'm still learning what I can and cannot say. Remember, not that long ago, I didn't even know what love was, but now I can confidently say that I love you, Anko Mitarashi." Anko gave a soft chuckle. "Of course you do. I'm too persistent not to love." Naruto chuckled as he got down on one knee and pulled out a golden ring with seals inscribed all over it. It had a black diamond in the center that was being held in the mouth of a griffin. "Anko Mitarashi, you may or may not have saw this coming, but I love you and would go through anything for you. Anko, will you give me the honor of marrying you and making you the matriarch of the Namikaze clan. Anko smiled as tears started to fall from her eyes. There was no way this was happening, but it was. Anko nodded as she said yes. Naruto smiled as he stood and kissed Anko, as he held her by the waist. Ayame watched the scene with a smile. As she felt the tap on her shoulder, she turned to see another Naruto as he took her hand and kneeled down. Ayame, I know that I already did this, but certain circumstances and decisions require me to do this again. Ayame, will you give me the honor of marrying you and joining the Uzumaki clan? Ayame rolled her eyes. Of course I will, idiot. There was no need to ask. Naruto smiled before a voice came on through the radio communication device in his ear. Squad 2, you're clear to advance on Kumo. Naruto stood as his clone poofed away, and he tapped his earpiece. Araya, Kakashi, Gaara, meet me at the gate in 2 minutes. With that, Naruto blinked away, leaving his two lovers on the mountain. As Naruto moved, another voice was heard on his earpiece. Naruto-san, this is Conan. I'll also be joining you in your squad. Naruto tapped his earpiece. Thanks, Conan. I could use a competent kunoichi like you. Meanwhile, Itachi stood on the roof of the academy as he looked down at the village he was fighting for. He soon heard footsteps as he turned. It's nice to see you again, Kurenai-san. You still look as attractive as ever. Kurenai stopped next to Itachi. Flatterer. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were trying to make up for almost killing me 3.5 years ago. Itachi turned to face Kurenai with a blank expression. You insulted me. I had to teach you a lesson. If I wanted you gone, you would be gone with a mere look. I just needed to teach you to never place an Uchiha under a Genjutsu. Kurenai laughed as Itachi laughed as well. The two really put on an act when he came back in his Akatsuki cloak with Kisame. Itachi looked at the Genjutsu mistress with a smile. She was pleasant to be around, and Kurenai thought the same of him. So, what squad are you stationed to, Ice Queen? Kurenai shook her head. I'm staying in the village unless I'm needed elsewhere. I have to look after a majority of the current academy students with some of the genin. How about you? Itachi looked off towards the gate as he saw Naruto's squad assembling. I'll be going with Tsunade-sama to the forward operations base. The two then heard footsteps as they turned around and saw Asuma as he came onto the roof. Asuma saw how close Itachi and Kurenai were standing to each other, and he narrowed his eyes. He was obviously jealous. He was trying to get with Kurenai for 3 years, but she never gave him the time of day. Am I interrupting something between you two? Itachi merely glanced at Asuma before he turned around and gave Kurenai a curt nod before he vanished in a flock of crows, as Kurenai turned to Asuma and merely brushed past him as she walked off of the roof. Meanwhile, Yugao laughed as she looked at the flustered look of Shisui. She had decided to tease him and press her body against his, and his reaction was priceless. He froze up like a virgin. It's not funny to play with others' emotions, Yugao-san. Yugao thought that he was just joking as she continued to laugh, saying that it's not like he was attracted to her anyway. Shisui froze. He was attracted to her. He always had a crush on her since he was like 14, but yet she teases him and acts as though everything is perfectly fine. Yugao-san, I'm going to need you to leave for the time being. I have things that I need to sort out. Yugal noticed the change in his tone. Why did it take such a drastic change? Maybe it was something she said? Maybe he really was attracted to her and she hit a soft spot. She decided it would be best to leave him for now, and she vanished in the sunshine. Damn, woman can be so damn ignorant at times. At least Kona seems to be able to read me like a damn open book. Meanwhile, Mei and the majority of her troops arrived in Konoha, except for the 3 that Sasuke had ripped to pieces. Most of the troops were assigned to squads, but when Naruto came across them, he only shook his head and left the village with his squad that consists of Jiraiya, Gaara, Araya, and a few others. He didn't need a single weakling in his squad. They call themselves Jonin, but at a glance, Naruto would say most of them had Jonin level reserves with Chunin level skill. Naruto and his squad moved through the trees with their white cloaks to protect them from the cold. In a few hours, they will be in enemy territory and at a disadvantage. But that didn't matter. Everyone with him was all Kage level. The weakest being Kakashi, and even he was somewhat Kage level, but without the Sharingan, he was still powerful, simply because he didn't rely on the Sharingan. He only used it when absolutely needed because of the chakra drain. Naruto's thoughts slowly went to Sasuke. He hasn't seen him in a while. He wondered how he was, if he was safe, if he was still tied to this pointless war. They continued to move. We won't get there as fast as I would like. All of us will need to be at 100% when we arrive. Meanwhile, Ino rapidly tapped her foot on the ground. She was getting rather impatient. Itachi, answer me! Itachi turned to the blonde. You will call me Sharingan-sama. Ino stared at him. There was no way in hell he was serious. She looked at him. His face was stoic. Itachi cut her off. Sharingan-sama. There is no Sharingan-sama. What if I Sharingan-sama? But your name Sharingan-sama. Ino sighed. Fine. Itachi burst out laughing. Okay. Lighten up. What is it you need, Ino? Ino sighed. I need you to stop rejecting my data transfer technique. If someone needs to speak with you on the field, they won't be able to reach you if you keep rejecting me. Itachi nodded as he removed his mental block in his mind. All Uchiha who awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan had this. Ino was now set up with a mental link to all of the allied Kage, excluding Mei, who has yet to arrive at the outpost. Just as she thought that, she walked through the door as she entered the war room. She sat next to Itachi with Tsunade on the other side of Itachi. Temari sat next to Mei, and Ino sat next to Tsunade. Shikaku sat at the next table over, along with a few other Nara and Yamanaka clan members. Hanabi also entered the war room. All of the Leaf's operations were not starting until a few hours, so she was able to just take a break and relax. Of course, she would help create emergency plans, but she wouldn't have to physically exert herself. With Anko, she and her team leaped through the trees. She knew she would most likely have to ask for assistance towards the end of their operation, simply because she had a small team and the stone had two Bijus. She looked back at her team that consists of Jiraiya, Neji, Sai, Asuma, Yugao, some nervous boy with shark teeth, and a handful of Urchuni that she didn't know that well. Quite frankly, the only ones here that could go head to head with a Jinchuriki was herself, because of her quickness and the use of her poisons along with her knowledge of vital points, Jiraiya because he was a perfect sage, and Yugao because of her unique sword style that relied on speed and was able to cut almost anything, but it was never tested against Jinchuriki. Time skip 7 hours later, in the war room, Ino had her eyes closed as blood dripped from her nose, and she grit her teeth. Naruto, are you and your squad in Lightning Country? Asked Tsunade. There was a pause before she got a response. We arrived 2 hours ago, waiting on orders. We're all at 100%. Tsunade grinned. Anko, what's your squad's current position? There was a small pause. We're at the border of Earth Country. We're reluctant to enter without orders because there are watchtowers stationed every mile from each other. Tsunade nodded and spoke. Destroy all of them, silently, and make your way into their borders. Anko grinned. Yugao, Sai, Neji, help me take out these problems. Meanwhile, in the towers, stone genin were slipping through the trapdoors with bags of explosives. You know your orders. Remove the head, and all you have is the body. Make sure to hit Fire Country real nice. The group of genin made their way to Fire Country as they split. One group heading towards the Fire Daimyo, and the other heading for Konoha with Naruto. He sat in a tree. He tapped his earpiece. Understood. Naruto and his team moved slowly, getting closer to Kumo. They only made it 2 miles before everyone stopped. Naruto cursed. It was as he feared. The Kinkaku squad was revived for the war. Meanwhile, Killer Bee took 3 soldier pills as he stood up from a stretcher and removed the test tubes that ran in and out of his body. How do you feel, B? B looked at A with disdain. Not that A could tell due to his glasses. I'm fine. I'll be on my way and turning the other way and maybe one day. B stopped his rapping. He wasn't about to pretend that what A did to him didn't piss him off. You know what, bro? No, I'm not fine. I'm pissed. You used me. You used me as a living experiment for a war when we were supposed to be bros. You had me strapped to a stretcher for days on enforcing Edo chakra out of me. From now on, we no longer bros. I'm washing my hands of you. I'll help with this war, but I'm done after that. B walked off as A grit his teeth. Like hell he was done. Meanwhile, Naruto growled. They sensed us. The damn Biju chakra they're using is heightening their senses. Kurama laughed in his head. Are you really afraid of these wannabes, Naruto? How funny. Kurama then fell silent as he growled in anger. Why are they here? Naruto scanned the field. The power of them. isn't scary. It's the number of them. It's easily in the thousands. And all but 2 of them have 8 Tails chakra. Naruto looked at his squad. No doubt Gaara would be the first to fall. They had his weakness in their back pocket. Then Kakashi would fall. Then it would be Konan. He looked over at Araya. He wasn't even sure if she could handle this amount of people. He didn't want her to get hurt. He didn't want anyone to get hurt. He wouldn't be able to live with that if he was the only one to come out of this alive. Naruto reached into his pouch and pulled out a bottle of chakra stimulators and soldier pills. He made his decision. Kakashi, take everyone and get as far ahead as possible. I'll hold these false Jinchuriki here. Everyone was stunned at his words. Naruto, stop joking. We're in this together. You know this, said Kakashi. Naruto poured 8 pills into his palm before swallowing them as his chakra surged. This is war, and we are in a bad position. I am not joking. Kakashi, do as I say. Take everyone and go ahead. Kakashi didn't like this at all. Naruto, this isn't smart. You're strong, but against all of them, you will die. They will tire you out and kill you. Naruto turned to Rei. As long as none of you die beside me, it'll be fine. Araya slapped him as a tear fell from her eyes. Don't be a dumbass. Don't let your emotions run you. If you stay, we all stay. Naruto smiled as he placed a hand on her shoulder as she passed out. Take her and go. She'll wake up within a few minutes. Kakashi, seeing no other reason to stay with an unconscious member, he kamui'd everyone away. Just then, a large force landed behind Naruto as 5 tails appeared behind all of them. Naruto sneered. You think you can control the power of a Biju? Allow me to show you the real thing. Naruto lit up with his KCM as the hair bands that held his bangs together snapped as his hair spiked up even more. Everyone in the elemental nations turned their head. This chakra, the amount of chakra, the output was ridiculous. This wasn't normal. If a normal human was to output this amount of chakra, they would die. White lightning started to come to life around Naruto's form. Meanwhile, Anko, Jiraiya, Yugao, and Neji looked in the hidden tunnels of the watchtowers they were in. Neji activated his Byakugan. These tunnels go far. They don't head to the stone though. They go in the direction of Fire Country. The shinobi thought nothing of it and continued with their mission, leaving the towers. They moved off, heading toward the stone. The others that were not tasked with dealing with the towers followed suit. Anko tried to ignore the massive power surge that she knew was Naruto, but it always lingered in the back of her mind. Naruto, please stay safe. Asuma caught up to Anko. So, what's the plan when we arrive? She then heard an explosion as she turned. Then there was another as a horrified look appeared on her face. One of the 3 of her tuning were blown to pieces. Another explosion then went off in the other direction. Everyone take height! It was a chain link of explosives. Everyone jumped to the trees, but she heard a agonizing scream before it was cut short. She turned her head to see a thick metal wire dangling from a branch, and the two halves of Asuma lying splayed open for all to see. Anko heard a whistling noise as she instinctively moved as a sharp wire split the branch that she stood on. The wire was now heading towards the boy with the sharp teeth, but he grabbed his sword and backed the thing away. Anko bit her thumb and smeared blood on a summoning tattoo as a giant snake came. Everyone, on now! No other words were spoken as they all jumped onto the snake and took off through the traps. Anko turned to one of the Chunin. You're Namanaka, correct? The little girl nodded. Patch me into Hokage-sama. The girl nodded. Hokage-sama, I'm down 4 shinobi, 3 Chunin and a Jonin. Tsunade cursed. Who is this? It's Anko. How do you want to proceed? Tsunade thought for a second. Who was the Jonin that you lost? It was Asuma, ma'am. Continue with the mission. Anko nodded as she woke up. Meanwhile, back with Naruto. He jumped back after he snapped the neck of one of these fake Jinchuriki. There were hundreds of bodies around him, but it was just a little out of the 1,000 that were there. Naruto panted as he grabbed a bottle and swallowed more chakra pills. The Kumo shinobi saw this, knowing they had to get that bottle away from him. He was causing a lot of damage to their forces. Streamline form, teleporter. Naruto disintegrated into lightning and appeared behind a few shinobi. Slice! 3 heads fell and rolled. Naruto ducked, the blades in his wrist guards extended. Slice! 2 arms fell to the ground. As the shinobi screamed, Naruto's eyes flicked back and forth, up and down in a span of a second, as he saw multiple shinobi coming at him at once. Wind style, Rasengan barrier. A dome of violent wind spun up around him. As it expanded outward, the dome slammed into them as it began to shred their skin slowly due to the yokai protecting them. All the Kuma shinobi began to push out more Biju chakra as it started to burn off their skin as Naruto's eyes widened. They all burst forth through the barrier, moving like feral animals. Naruto moved away. This just became more problematic. They were able to access version 2 of the chakra. It was already bad that they had it in the first place. Now, he would have to exert more effort, but he had his pride. He could transform and become the giant fox, but that would drain his chakra faster due to the chakra stimulators he's been swallowing to make him exert chakra on a larger and more dangerous scale. Not only would doing this drain him though, they could just retreat and wait for him to tire completely. Even if he changed back once they retreat, it would have still taken a giant chunk of his reserves, not to mention his body was starting to ache. Meanwhile, Orochimaru stood in front of a coffin with a grin plastered on his face. The coffin itself exploded as the person inside opened his red and black eyes and stepped forward as he looked around. He then looked down at his hands. So, I've been brought back as some sick puppet. How pathetic. This is just infuriating. Orochimaru stepped forward with a tag as he went to place it into his chest, but Madara grabbed his wrist. You won't be doing such a thing. You don't even have the power you must have to even will me under your command. Orochimaru looked at him with amusement. To Orochimaru, now that he had the wood style, he thought he was on par with the legendary Uchiha. Is that so, Madara? To my understanding, I'm on par with you. At your prime, I could even rival the first Hokage and the second, and my power is far surpassed that of your weak little brother. Madara gave a smile. If this creature in front of him wasn't so grotesque, his statement would be considered cute. Yes, Azuna was the weakest of the four in his time, but that was only because Tobirama closed the gap with the creation of the flying Raijin. If not for that, Tobirama would be the weakest. Orochimaru, though, he started to feel uneasy. It was because Madara smiled. He remembered reading a statement in a book about legends. The statement was, when Madara smiles, you should pray. When Hashirama stops smiling, it's best you run. Madara let go of Orochimaru and stepped back. You say you are my equal. How about we test this little opinion in a dance? Madara dropped into the interception fist stance and Orochimaru smirked. He then shot off as he slithered into Madara's guard. Orochimaru was thrown back as an elbow planted itself in his face. Orochimaru slid and landed with his head in the ground. Madara walked up to the corpse. You claim to be my equal, but I only gave you a love tap. And this is the state you're in? Your words are infuriating. Another Orochimaru burst from the ground with the tag, going to ram it into Madara. But he tilted his body and grabbed Orochimaru by the face, slamming him into the dirt below. Wooden vines then grabbed Madara, catching him off guard. But then he felt how weak they were compared to Hashirama's, as he just flared his power, destroying them. His body then started to crack. As he looked down, blue and white lights came from the cracks. Looks as though my time is past. He looked in the direction of Naruto and smiled. Huh. Whoever you are, I can tell you are fighting for a good purpose. I wish I could get the chance of testing myself. Naruto Jinchuriki. With that, his body broke apart as his soul floated away, leaving a crippled and hurt Orochimaru. Meanwhile, with Sasuke, he put on his black cloak and strapped his sword onto his back and fastened his kunai pouch to his leg. He then turned to Tsunemi and gave her a kiss before kneeling down and saying a few words to her stomach, or more accurately, his unborn child, that was still in the process of growing. He then ruffled Inari's hair before leaving as he walked the streets and soon crossed the Great Naruto Bridge as his Susanoo formed and he took flight. Naruto, who is so powerful to the point that they force you to release this much power. Any normal person would die to the amount that you're releasing. Soon, Sasuke was in fire country as he continued to fly. Meanwhile, Aurea opened her eyes. She was in a weird plane. Then, it hit her as she jumped up. Naruto! He was nowhere to be seen. She closed her eyes and could feel Kakashi chakra all around. So this is his Kamui dimension. Araya activated her Sefnergon. Meanwhile, Kakashi covered his eye as it started to bleed through his hand and his headband, as he dropped to his knees and uncovered it. Soon he released Araya as she planted a foot into his face. "Where's Naruto?" Kakashi held his sore cheek. He's still fighting all of them. Araya started to become enraged. "And you actually let him do it alone? Are you a fucking idiot?" Kakashi stood. "He gave us the order to keep moving, so that's what I did. What we all did." Araya looked around at everyone from Konan to Gaara. All of you are cowards that are only good for following orders. You really abandoned him and left him to fight alone. I'm going back to get him. If any of you try to stop me, I'll kill you where you stand." Meanwhile, Naruto panted as he was out of soldier pills, or more like, the bottle of soldier pills was destroyed. He only managed to kill around 500 out of the 1,000. Naruto's legs shook, threatening to give out. Never in his life did he think he'd have to fight thousands of Jinchuriki. The rest of the Kumo Special Forces started to retreat. Why are they falling back? Naruto's question was answered when he felt Kurama's power coming from a new source as his chakra cloak slowly flickered out. The Gold and Silver brothers moved like blurs as they circled Naruto, with their sadistic laughs filling the area. Naruto went to move, but he was slashed across the chest. Naruto stepped back, panting, as the wound on his chest slowly healed. Naruto pulled his Tanto as he blocked the claw swipe, but his Tanto snapped. Naruto's vision began to go white as his life started to flash, as he remembered some of the memories that played a part in his growth. Flashback. "I don't like the snake bitch. She needs to leave me the hell alone. It's bad enough that I live with her. She reminds me of Orochimaru with her scent." Another flashback. "I thought you were in trouble, but I guess I was wrong," said Naruto as he walked out of the room with the Tanto in hand, going to take a cold shower. He had just walked in on Anko masturbating. Another flashback. Naruto cried into Anko's chest as he wrapped his arms around her. It was another nightmare, and Anko came to check on him as they spent the night together. Another flashback. Naruto bit deep into the throat of a stone shinobi as he ripped it out as blood trailed his mouth. The body fell limp as he pulled a kunai as he stalked over to the other who was trying to rape Anko as he stabbed him mercilessly. Another flashback. Naruto quickly got up and fixed his clothes as Ayame did the same. He cleared his throat and acknowledged the heavy, blushing Temari. Another flashback. Naruto was shoved onto the couch as Ino jumped onto him and started to make out with him, as his fingers quickly found her wet snatch. Another flashback. "We should fight again sometime. You're the first person to make me go this far." Naruto smiled. "What's your name?" The woman stopped and turned her head. "Araya Uchiha." End of all flashbacks. Having his life flash before him enraged Naruto, but he had no time to react. The finishing blow was too close. He didn't even have the time to use teleporter. Not that he had the chakra to do so. Naruto then heard something split through the air. He started to look up, but two figures landed around him, and he felt two pairs of arms wrap around him as all three figures were surrounded by a purple and white energy exploding from them and mixed, creating a giant Susanoo that was white with purple armor. Naruto looked at the two as a small smile split his lips. "Nice of you to show up, Sasuke." Naruto looked down at Araya, who was still hugging him tightly. Naruto heard a small sniffle as his chest started to get a little damp. Naruto placed a hand on top of her head. "What's wrong, Araya?" The smaller woman released him and punched him in the mouth, splitting his lip as he fell onto his ass. "You fucking idiot! You thought it was smart trying to take all of them alone? You're talented in the shinobi arts, but the sheer number of them would overwhelm anyone." Naruto looked up at her. Her eyes were filled with tears as the pattern in them started to change into a four-pronged shuriken with the tomo on each point. "You almost died because you made a dumbass decision. Do you know how many people you would have hurt if you died here? Do you know how I would feel?" Naruto stood and spat as Araya walked up to him and pulled him into a kiss, surprising Naruto. She then pulled away. "Put me through that again, and I'll kill you myself." Sasuke cleared his throat. "Are you two done? We still have a number of these frauds to get rid of." The three of them looked over to see a multitude of Kumo shinobi emerge from the trees, moving around the multitude of dead bodies. "Hey, loser. How about you sit this one out? You're in no position to fight at the current moment. Take a soldier pill and relax in the construct of the armor." Sasuke flicked Naruto a pill as Naruto caught it and swallowed the pill. Sasuke and Araya sized each other up before looking back down at all the shinobis. Araya's eyes began to glow as the chakra output of the Susanoo increased as 4 more arms sprouted from it and 5 swords formed with each nature element. Sasuke's eyes then glowed as another sword formed, and it was made from the Amaterasu flames. The battle that happened next was far from a battle. It was a murder. Bodies were everywhere, and the Gold and Silver brothers were stuck in a never-ending loop of visual illusion placed on them by Araya. All that remained was to seal the two away. Naruto then heard static before a voice cracked to life in the distance. Naruto picked up his earpiece from the ground and put it back into his ear. "What is it, Tsunade Dono?" Naruto-kun, help." Ino spoke with a strained voice as she coughed. "Ino, what happened? Are you okay?" Ino coughed again before speaking. The forward outpost was blown up from underground. We're all trapped under the rubble, and we're running out of oxygen. With all of us here and what Itachi did, we will only live for about 20 minutes. Ino, if Itachi is there, why not? Why can't he just use his Susanoo to clear the rubble? Why can't he do it?" Ino looked over at the unconscious Itachi. Itachi's currently pinned down with a 4-inch diameter stone spike through his stomach. He's currently unconscious." Naruto was starting to panic. "What about Hanabi? Is she okay?" Ino gave a yes, saying she was right next to her, along with Tamari and the unconscious Tsunade. Naruto didn't bother to reply. He just started to move, going in the direction of Fire Country as he fully transformed into his Kurama avatar, going as fast as he could. My body hurts. My whole body hurts. Naruto pushed through the pain and fatigue. He wasn't going to let anyone that he cared for die. If he could do anything to stop it. Araya joined Naruto as the fox was wrapped in armor and sprouted wings, while Sasuke shook his head and went in the direction of Kumo. Meanwhile, Anko and the remainder of her team jumped off the summit. They were confused. They were in the dead center of the hidden stone, but there wasn't a single soul in sight. They all looked around confused. Jiraiya entered Sage mode as he turned his head in the direction of the Hokage Tower, further back into the village. There, I can sense a huge mass of signatures, and 3 of them are Kage level. Anko, Neji, and Sai, I want all of you with me. We take down the heavy hitters. The rest of you, take out the normal shinobi. Be smart. This is their turf. They have home field advantage. But we are smarter. So, set up choke points. Exploit every weakness. We are not here to make them surrender. We are here for complete extermination. Anko, get in contact with Shisui and call in for immediate reinforcements. We don't know how this will play out. Better we be safe than sorry. Anko nodded as she tapped her earpiece. Shisui! The sounds of metal hitting metal was heard, and she got no reply. Shisui, come in! Meanwhile, Shisui's body flickered around the Chunin, making him dizzy as he flashed in front of him before removing his head as he tapped his earpiece. What? Shisui had no time to be talking at the moment, so he was very annoyed. Shisui leaned back and body flickered away as he appeared on the roof of the Hokage Tower. Anko, I have no time to be talking right now. Somehow the Stone Shinobi were able to get into the village. We're lucky we sensed them before they arrived thanks to Naruto's barrier. Shisui's eternal Mangekyo Sharingan spun into life as he looked down at the village, as every single Stone Shinobi froze, falling to the influence of the Kodo of Matsukami, as they all pulled the kunai and slit their own throats. Everyone who saw this was mesmerized as they all looked up at Shisui. His stance, his hair, his eyes, the sun behind him, it all made him look like a god. I don't have any shinobi here that can make their way to you in time. Guessing that these stone ninjas here, they got past the forward operation base. Your best bet is Naruto and his squad. But they have their own mission, but I'll send what I can, but it'll take time. Currently, at the forward operations base. Ino's breathing was ragged as she looked around at everyone. Tsunade was out cold, with a large piece of rubble on her legs. If she weren't a Senju with increased bone density, they'd surely be crushed. She looked over at Itachi. There was a pool of blood under him, with a 4-inch stake through him. He was alive, but his breathing was shallow, and he lay unconscious. Tamari was next to Inoichi, and the both of them were fine, not counting the bumps that they had on their heads. Hanabi, she had a dislocated shoulder and a migraine. Ino, She looked down and grimaced. Her ankle was rolled and she had a broken hand. She was lucky. She looked around at the seriously wounded members of her clan and the Nara clan. The stumps of their missing limbs was a sad sight. Most of them were dead from both clans. The smell of burned flesh filled the air. Itachi had used Amaterasu to cauterize each limb before greatly shortening their oxygen supply, but he did it to prevent two clans from going extinct. Ino, how you holding up? The blonde turned to Hanabi, who was nursing her left shoulder. I'm just fine. How about you? Hanabi only looked at her shoulder and gave a sigh as an answer. We should keep conversation to a minimum. Don't want to burn up the last bit of oxygen we have due to conversation. The two turned to Tamari to see her looking off at her body. The head was crushed under a piece of rubble, killing the poor bastard instantly. Ino and Hanabi saw and wondered who it was as they looked away from the corpse. That's Shika. I know because he was sitting there the entire time. Tamari gave a humorless laugh. I would be right there next to him if he didn't annoy me trying to ask me out after this. Ino was shocked as she looked at the corpse again. Her former teammate had a gruesome death, but hers would be painful. If she had to guess, with all the people still breathing, they had about 13 minutes of air left to breathe. Inuichi gave a smile as he went to move, but had no room to do so. Ino. The blonde turned her head to her father. You have made me the happiest dad ever to live. I got to see you grow up and become a brilliant kunoichi. You made me proud. You accomplished so much in your life. A tear ran down his face as he smiled. You became a beautiful woman and found someone to spend your life with when I'm gone. I'm doing this to save you and prolong everyone else's life here. My only regret is not being able to see the wedding. Ino went wide-eyed as her father pulled a kunai and plunged it into his own heart as his breathing halted and his head slumped. Tears filled Ino's eyes as her vision blurred. She really just saw that happen. To think he'd be willing to do that for the well-being of others. The will of fire burned bright inside of him. A short distance away, a little rubble fell over as Shikaku awoke. Ah, shit, said Tamari. Shikaku started to panic as he looked around. Shikamaru! Shikamaru! Shikaku went to move, but he stopped by a piece of rubble on his leg. Shadow stitching! The rubble was destroyed as he started to crawl and drag himself around looking for his son. As he started to move all the rubble around in the process. Shikamaru! Shikaku continued to move and destroy rubble as some of it started to fall from above. Someone stop him and shut him up. He'll get all of us killed, either by another cave-in or him sucking up all the damn oxygen, Hanabi hissed. Shikaku continued to move shit around slowly, causing everyone to get uneasy. Shikaku, calm yourself, hissed Tamari. He didn't listen as his movements got more frantic as he destroyed more rubble. Shikamaru, answer me! Ino was starting to fear for her everyone as more rubble fell from above. Please stop, Shikaku-san. You'll get us all killed, pleaded Ino. A large piece of rubble then fell, about to land on Ino. As she widened her eyes, she couldn't move. She was really going to die like this. The large rock then shifted position as it landed next to Ino because of Tamari and her mastery over the wind. Hanabi pulled a kunai and threw it, hitting Shikaku in the head as he dropped over, dead. But guys, I'm going to end it off right here. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe while you're at it. Subscribe while you at it. I will say it again. I'll wait. Alright, now that all y'all hit that subscribe button and didn't click off the video, wink wink, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you get notified whenever I upload. But without further ado, I'm out and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.